guys and girls doing today? Temptation Out when they here, y'all. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we've got 5 tips, y'all, and a bonus tip at the end for brand new Escape from Tarkov players, y'all. But before we get into it, guys, please, if you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to hit those buttons down below, like the like and the sub button. As you're laughing at my survival rate and how many deaths I have, please hit those buttons down below. And if you really like the video, please comment. I love talking to y'all. It's always fun and interactive. But without further ado, y'all, let's get right into it with the very first thing, which is going to be settings. We're going to go over every single setting I have, y'all, and just talk about what I like to run. And this is up to y'all. You can change it if you'd like, but I start off with only using physical cores. If you have a lot of cores on your CPU, you know what that means. So that pretty much means you're going to only want to use the physical. It gives me a little bit of an FPS boost, but nothing too crazy. Automatic RAM cleaner if you suffer from RAM usage in the game, because the game will eat up a lot of RAM, and this is a good thing to have on if you have those kind of issues. And I don't have anything else at the very bottom except for malfunction notifications. This is simply a little thing that will pop up whenever you get a malfunction in the game, alerting you that, hey, you have a malfunction. And last two things would be head bobbing, and I have it at 0.2 because you really don't want to have that on. It'll just, for me, gives you a headache. In FOV, I play at the highest setting, which is 75. Once again, like I said, this is personal preference. As you go down, what's going to happen is it's going to reduce your field of view, but it's going to give you probably more FPS. If you go higher and higher, less FPS, but you'll be able to see a bigger screen. Moving on to graphics, y'all. So for my graphics, I have everything on low except for texture quality, which is set to high. Overall visibility, you can play with this, but if you don't really use snipers that much and you're just going to be, I guess you could say, the average Tarkov player, assault rifles, SMGs, and sometimes long range, I like to keep it at 1500. Anti-aliasing I have on TAA, and like I said, these are all personal preference things down here. You can mess with the settings depending on your graphics card and the way your PC runs, but I like to have most of the things off. Low latency, I like to have on the video reflex low latency on plus boost, because it is nice, and for me it is noticeable. Sharpness I have on 0.5. It'll just make things pop out a little bit easier. Everything else is left alone, and I have everything off at the very bottom except for high quality color. And once again, y'all, we're going to just go up here real quick one more time. You want to make sure everything else, y'all, you can mess with on your own, but you want to make sure that the screen mode you're playing in is full screen, because playing in window to playing in other modes, at least for me in my experience, tends to be way worse. Like, you'll get way more issues in game and FPS drops out the wazoo. So you want to make sure that you're playing in full screen, and of course the aspect ratio and screen resolution is whatever your monitor highest resolution can get to, or I should say the default resolution. Moving on to post effects, y'all. Once again, this is all personal preference. This is just to make the game look the way that you want it to look. I'll leave this up for a couple of seconds if y'all want to copy my settings, but like I said, this is all personal preference, and it'll affect the game a couple FPS here and there depending on your PC, but nothing too major. But like I said, it's all up to you to figure out what you like. Moving on to sound now, y'all. For video purposes, I have it at 20% because clicking and going between these tabs would be extremely loud, but I like to play at 100%, and I also have my desktop audio for my headset at 100% because in Tarkov, sound is absolutely everything. You want to be able to tell the difference between grass, metal, wood, things like that, you know, what it sounds like when people reload, when they crouch, sprint, prone, everything like that. Tarkov is a sound-based game, and sound is extremely important, so I like to play at 100. But like I said, it's all personal preference. Interface volume at 50 because clicking on things can be loud if it's at 100. Everything else I have at 0. And I do have music on RAID end, and once again, personal preference. And binaural audio, y'all. This is a newer feature that was released, I think, 2 or 3 years ago, I believe. And it's up to you if you want to have it on. I like to have it on because I can tell a little bit of a difference. Nothing too crazy, but it really helps with direction. You know, if people are a floor above you or floor below you, if they're actually to your left, where corner they're in, and things like that. But once again, up to you. And last but not least, y'all, keybinds. And once again, all personal preference. You can set your keybinds to what you want. And keybinds is an actual tip we're going to get into later on. I'm just going to show you all the basic keybinds that you want to keep in mind and the starter ones that you're going to be using when you get into the game. But once again, you can always come in here and change it to your personal preference. The next tip I have for you guys is going to be traders, y'all. So we're going to go up to the top right here. And as you can see, this is a list of almost all the traders, y'all, except for Lightkeeper. But as you can see, y'all, we have three things we have to worry about when it comes to traders, and it's the actual level of the trader and you, the reputation, and we'll get to that in a second, and the amount of money spent. And y'all, what traders essentially do is they help you out tremendously as you're navigating your journey through Tarkov. As you level up your traders, you're going to get bigger and better things. And I'll use Proper and Ragman as examples because these are traders that a lot of people use. But as you see, as we go up in the levels, you're going to be able to have access to bigger and better suppressors, attachments, and most importantly, one of the most important things in Tarkov is ammo. And that's another tip that we'll talk about later on. But as you go up, you'll be able to get better things. Ragman, he is a big guy when it comes to clothing and armor. And as you see at level 1, you really don't get much. You get basic things up to level 3 in terms of armor. But when we go over to level 3 Ragman, as you can see, we're looking at mid to end game things with level 4 and 5 rigs, bigger backpacks and things like that, good helmets, and the whole 9 yards. Now, let's go ahead and talk about how we level up traders because it's extremely important. So what you can see right here, y'all, and I'll use Mechanic as a good example. What you can see right here, y'all, is the three things we talked about. Your level. In this example, I'm level 33, and in order for me to get to king level, level 4, max level, I need to be level 40. Reputation, I'm at 0.63, so I've exceeded what I would need when I hit level 40 with him, which is 0.60. And the amount of money spent, self-explanatory. Need to be spending a certain amount of money with the trader in order to level him up as well. When it comes to reputation, the way that you increase your rep with the traders is by doing tasks. When you get into the game, you'll be given a certain set of starter tasks, mainly from Proper and Therapist, and as you progress through the storyline of Tarkov, it's going to end up giving you more and more quests. You'll eventually unlock people like Jaeger, unlock quests for Peacekeeper, Mechanic, Ragman, and the list goes on and on and on. And as you can see, as I click through the traders and I click through certain missions, it'll give me reputation along with other items, other quest reward items. But the reputation, we'll see, will increase every single time you do certain quests for that trader. And eventually when you get that up and it's showing blue, and it shows blue for everything, you'll get to the next level with that trader. The next thing we're going to talk about, y'all, is keybinds. So basic keybinds in the game, obviously W, A, S, and D are going to help you move, but the basic ones you're going to want to learn when you start playing Tarkov are Alt and T, which is checking your magazine. You can do Shift and T, which is going to check your chamber. L if you just want to look at the weapon. You can, of course, do C, which is crouching, Z, which is prone. Another thing we can do, too, is if you hold down C and then you start using your scroll wheel, at the bottom left, you can see the ticks moving up and down. And that allows you to adjust your height when you do that. Same thing with just using your scroll wheel and not pressing C. You can actually adjust the speed in which you walk to full-on speed walk. Same thing with crouching. Don't press anything, just scroll down. Slowest crouch walk speed, fastest. Now when you are at the slowest crouch walk speed, you don't make any sound, and obviously at the highest you make sound no matter what you're doing. The last two that I want to talk about, y'all, is blind fire. And even though you might not use this as often, it really is nice to use, and it's clutch when it, you don't really want to expose yourself out of cover, and it looks cool too. What you can do, for me, I've changed the keybinds, but there's two kind of blind fires, and that is over your shoulder blind fire, which for me right now I believe is Alt and W, and that would be, let's just say I'm behind this and I'm trying to shoot someone, right, and I don't want to I don't want to expose myself. I can shoot like that. And you can do it to the side, which for me is just control. So if someone's behind here, I can hit that. So those are the most basic keybinds to learn in Tarkov. And silly me, y'all, silly me. How did I forget the two most important keybinds, y'all, in the game to learn, especially when you're starting? The good old Q and E for your left side peek, but more importantly, your right side peek. You can do this obviously while crouching, while prone, even though prone really don't matter much, and of course, by standing up. Your left and right peek, Q and E. The next tip, guys, is going to be ammo. Now, we've already talked about this earlier when we went over the traders and talked about how leveling up the traders will give you access to better ammo, but some of the best ways to get ammo, and just like I said how earlier, sound is everything on Tarkov, ammo is also everything on Tarkov, and the best way to get the best of the best ammo, the ammo that's going to penetrate the highest level of armor, is going to be heading on over to your hideout and getting your workbench up. I would say that back in the day that the workbench and the hideout were an option. Nowadays, I say that it's an absolute necessity. So for your ammo, you're going to want to go straight to workbench level 2 and workbench level 3 as fast as you possibly can. And I won't go through all the ammo, but you can see here that I've got ammo for the armor piercing sniper round, the P90, your .45 ACP rounds for your vectors and things like that. I've got M4 penetrating rounds, M4 HK416, things like that, and the list goes on and on and on. AP for your MP7s, and like I said, Igonic rounds is a good one too for the 545 variant. So you're going to want to get your workbench up to level 3 as fast as possible, because you cannot buy these things on the flea market even when you hit level 15. You're not going to be able to buy the best of the best ammo, so ammo is extremely important. Get that workbench up to level 3 and you'll be good to go. And tip number 5, y'all, which is meds. Meds, of course, are an extremely important aspect of Tarkov, and with it, when you start in a brand new wipe, you're going to be wondering how to use meds and what each of them do. So I've got the basic meds right here that we get when we start in the game, and I'm just going to go over each one and show you all the differences between them and what they do and things like that. So your AI2, the piece of cheese as some people call it, heals your basic HP. So radiation exposure is not a thing that's in the game right now, so don't have to worry about that. But when you see HP resource, it's letting you know that a full AI2 med kit is going to be able to heal 100 of your HP points. We go over here to health, and we can see that you have 440 out of 440 for your PMC, meaning that when you hit 0, obviously you're going to die. So, whenever you have damage and it's over 100, as you use the AI2, it will start to heal random body parts until you use it all, and then it'll eventually disappear. On to the next thing, which is splints. Pretty self-explanatory. Splints, just like in real life, are used to fix broken stuff. I think. I'm not a doctor. But aluminum splint, y'all, it is used to fix bones, and if you have a broken bone or a fracture in the game, it'll heal it instantly. And the reason why you want to fix that is because if you have a broken arm, it'll mess with your gun sway and your aim, and if you have a broken leg and you're not on painkillers, which we'll get to in 1 second, you won't be able to run at all. You'll just be limping everywhere. Speaking of painkillers, y'all, painkillers are one of the most important meds in the game, because what they do is they allow you to run even when your legs are either blacked out or your legs are broken and you've suffered multiple fractures. Painkillers also stop you from coughing, because when you get to a certain point in HP, I believe it's half of your HP pool, you'll start coughing and making a whole bunch of noise. Your screen will go red and things like that. So it stops you from coughing, and it allows you to continue running even if your legs have been shot out. A bandage, y'all, is for light bleeds, because you can get both light and heavy bleeds in the game. And a Calic B hemostatic applicator is for heavy bleeds, y'all, and once again, like I said, this will stop heavy bleeds. Now, at the very beginning of the game, you'll have something called an S march, and it does the same exact thing. It stops heavy bleeds, except it only has one use instead of 3 out of 3 like this does right here. And last but certainly not least, y'all, is the CMS kit. Now, remember what I was saying earlier about your limbs being blacked out? So what happens when you get shot at in Tarkov and you get hit in a certain limb other than your head, because if you get hit in your head, you'll die. But other than that, you can start taking enough damage to the point where your limb will completely black out, and you'll see, for example, on the left leg, 0 out of 65. What happens at that moment is your body acts just as if your leg has been broken or it has a fracture and it's completely blacked out. You won't be able to run anymore and your overall HP will go down until you fix it. That's what the CMS does. The CMS allows you to drag it to a certain part of your body. It'll restore that limb from being completely dead back to 1 HP out of something, because what ends up happening is it'll take a total amount of HP off each time you have to heal a blacked out limb, and then you're able to heal it up as normal. And ladies and gentlemen, drum roll, Pete. No, I'm just kidding. The last bonus tip I have for y'all, offline mode. I cannot stress this enough, y'all. Offline mode will help you so much. I wish I had it when I started. It is an absolute game changer, and I'm not going to go into an actual game, but I will show y'all how to set it up. So you want to just choose a map of your choosing, and if you want to have scabs on, which are AI in the game, you can have them on. If not, and you just want to learn the map, learn your extracts, how the map looks and things like that, loot points, you can just hit this. So you make sure this is ticked, which is enable practice mode for this raid. You go over to game settings, and when you go down straight to AI amount, you just hit none, and then you're good to go. You can immediately hit next, hit ready, and then you'll be put into that map with absolutely no scavs, no players at all. You can just learn the map, figure out where you like the spawn points, how you're going to run the map and things like that. And like if you want more of a challenge, you can turn on scavs. You can go all the way up from low to a horde amount. AI difficulty will go from easy all the way to insane or impossible. And if you want a challenge and you want to start practicing your aim and fighting against AI and eventually players in the game. But that is it for this video, y'all. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think. Please, please, please. It makes me jingle my jewels every time someone comments. I'm telling you, it makes my day. And I love you guys, and I will catch y'all in the next video. Tim 918 out of here.